You're welcome back to Newsfile. I suspect that you are now sufficiently informed by way of the decoding of the judgment for your purposes. Now, NIIT, your number one choice in IT education, they've been doing that for 15 years in Ghana, and they are offering you new and exciting programs this year. Experience the best of computer education in a serene learning environment with qualified IT professionals. Their offering includes certificate and diploma courses in software engineering, Android programming, PHP web development, Java programming, hardware and networking, Cisco, Oracle database, and a lot more. Their programs are relevant to today's job market for corporate institutions. They invite you to take advantage of their special corporate packages. Good news to SHS and JHS candidates. NIIT is offering 20% discount on selected programs. Be better prepared for the next level. For information, visit their website, niitghana.com, or you could call them 02896747770. NIIT, bringing people and computers together successfully. Install solar power today from the world's leading brand, Vectron Energy. They install both off-grid solar and hybrid solar systems for residential and commercial users. They sell all solar components and accessories. Reduce your ECG bills by up to 90%. Reduce by up to 90% what you pay to ECG. Well, ECG will not be happy about that. And free yourself from high cost of electricity and fueling generators. You can install Vectron Solar today and enjoy uninterrupted power supply. They offer 5 years warranty on all their products except their solar batteries, which come with 1 year warranty. Call them 054-112-3430 or 020-400-8074 to fix your energy challenges at an affordable cost. You can also check them out at info@tinosolutions.com. Their showroom is at number 10 Abekan Road, Tesano Commercial Plaza. First floor, same building with Zuzu Restaurant. Thanks very much. Now, let's deal with some other matters that have come up as far as the ongoing registration is concerned. And we should be able to start with the matters that culminated in the arrest of the NPP's regional chairman, Wontumi, in the Ashanti region, his detention and subsequent grant of bail, and the proposal to the court to settle the matter as a family issue. I would like to start on that note with Kweku. What's your assessment of how things, went as far as that issue is concerned? The NPP has issued a press statement in the region suggesting an unseen hand that was behind everything else, and not condemning the massing up of its supporters at the police station.
Well, unfortunately for me, I haven't seen the NPP press release.
It was signed by Sam Pine.
Yes, but I think that really that's unsustainable. The focus should remain on the alleged assault. And of course also the mob or the crowd that besieged the police station. That's not an acceptable practice. Look, I've been asking myself, why should a regional party chairman get involved in that situation with a party member, a member of parliament, as well as a party secretary? Mm-hmm. The context of limited registration exercise, you would expect that both the chairman on one side and the MP and his party secretary will be doing the same thing, focused in the interest of their party. Even though I have seen the brief facts that the police presented to the courts that creates the effect that there was some decision that the two gentlemen should not be part of any party exercise. I've read it. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. but these are part of the brief facts that the police had presented to the court. And so when the chairman saw them there, he thought they were going against party directive. But even then, assuming without admitting that the gentlemen were going against a party directive, the prescription is not to physically reach out and to stop them. And so he's denied. I'll tell you, instinctively, I want to believe there was an assault.
You want to believe Felix Ibrahim?
I want to believe so. I believe so.
He says he was really giving a good beating. And that even the medical reports, doctors suggest that he may have to come to Kolebu for some surgery.
I think there was. See, the police went to rescue the two complainants. It's in the brief facts. So there were policemen on duty who intervened, the eyewitnesses. They gave them police medical forms to go to the hospital. That's of evidential value. They are undergoing treatment by a medical facility. That's something also of evidential value. I don't think ghosts came from nowhere to assault the two guys. Nobody can convince me that some ghost appeared from nowhere and descended on these two guys at the registration center. I'm not going to be convinced by anybody. So something went wrong. And for that matter, the chairman, the regional chairman, became a legitimate target of police action. And if he's taken into custody, why should you get a mob or a crowd mobilized to do what? That's no prescription for whatever you perceived as an infraction of his right. For me, those things put together had a negative effect, collateral damage of a sort on the image of the party in the region as well as even the national level. So this is not something that should be, toyed with. To be honest, I'm clear in my mind that what happened is not good enough. Well, they've decided to settle it out of court. Of course, it's still within the realm of the court because I'm told that the out-of-court settlement will have to be brought to court. Am I right?
That's what the law says, Section 73.
But that's allowed, isn't it? It's allowed for the courts to promote that kind of...
The courts are supposed to promote reconciliation in non-aggravated misdemeanors.
Yeah, but this one, where would you put it as a lawyer?
I don't want to pronounce it.
No, I'm asking for where you place it within the context of law. That you are not pronouncing judgment.
It's a charge. Ordered on a felony. Definitely it could be taken out.
Okay, wait. They were charged. He was charged under Section 84 of the Criminal Offences Act, 1960, Act 29. So where would you place it?
He was charged with an assault.
Yeah, is it an aggravated, as you see?
It's a misdemeanor.
You see? So
the point of aggravation is a matter of fact. That will be established by the medical report and other things.
Interesting.
And it is in the domain of the court.
Yeah, so
okay. So whatever it is that will be done out of court will be brought to court for determination eventually. No, but I'll be honest with you, politically, it was an unmitigated disaster. It ought not to have happened. And sometimes we have to be very frank. You see, being frank and critiquing these things and also allowing the law to take its course all sows the seeds for a deterrence. It doesn't allow the subculture of impunity in our body politic to grow. So on this call, to be honest with you, I'm hugely disappointed by the conduct of the chairman, even though he's not been found guilty by any court of law.
We have a lot of issues on the registration ongoing that we have to discuss, so we have to be quick about this one. Now, Honorable Yunus Afuseni, the provision is that the courts are to promote reconciliation. They are supposed to encourage and facilitate settlement of, in my own summary, non-aggravated misdemeanors. Listening to the gentleman, do you think the court should have endorsed this request to settle?
Well, the courts, as lawyers, we've always taken advantage of that.
Should the prosecution have even agreed?
We've always taken advantage of that to settle matters within the domestic setting, within families. But this is a bigger family, and I agree entirely with my brother Abdul Malik Okubako that this ought not to have happened. It's a failure of leadership. That the lawlessness, impunity that characterized the activity ought not to have happened in the first place. Why, as a community of nations, we can solve problems in the most acceptable way, in the civilized way. You might have your differences. If the party chairman, a party chairman of a whole region, can descend on a party member, then
an MP,
who can that member run to? Who can that member run to? And then you see the lawlessness and the endorsement of that action by not only the supporters of the party at the ground level, but even at by the acting national chairman.
How did he act?
We said you would touch Wontumi and you touch the MPP. A acting national chairman makes such an irresponsible statement, forgetting that the person who was assaulted is also a member of your party. Can you just imagine that? Giving legitimacy to the unwarranted action of your chairman. And then, culminating it all, you find the Daily Graphic, the state paper, publishing that Wontumi had been granted bail on the front page of the Daily Graphic.
No, but what's wrong with that? That was rather even positive in the sense that it exposes.
It's not positive.
No, let me tell you, the paradox. That one exposes the man for a wider audience. I'm telling you
that he has been granted bail.
No, but the story would not
bail
talk
after having assaulted a person.
The story would talk of the assault, not just the bail.
Allegedly.
No. I basically
but the
think
story
that
would not be restricted to bail.
Very quickly, you
that.
spoke about what you say was also very bad about the supporters massing up at the police station and sleeping over there. Would you say that the police brought that onto themselves? If they had intended and they knew they were going to charge him with a mere misdemeanor, why were they holding him? Why did they not grant him bail?
Well,
does it not appear as if they use the bail as a punishment? When the law says you shouldn't use bail as punishment.
Well, they probably would have said that they were still investigating the matter. And we all have been frustrated. We all have been frustrated by that as practicing lawyers. The judgment that we just finished, Benny says that where the law gives an authority the powers to perform certain functions, you can't compel that authority to perform it in one way or the other. It's quite clear. So for us, do you think they ought not to have gone there in the first place?
But Doc, do you think that the police was abusing that discretion on bail? Because that's the feeling of some members of the NPP, and it is the reason they actually massed up there.
I think so. Considering how the police generally treat assault matters as one of those cases that are easily bailable, and therefore, if you are uneven in terms of how you handle assault cases, it can generate such reactions. When you asked Honorable Inusa to comment on an MPP's issue of this nature, then I knew that he was going to aggravate it. So they said I ought not to have happened.
Doctor, I don't condone, even in the NDC, he knows me, I don't condone.
Yeah, I know you are very principled. Yeah. But it ought not to have happened.
For example, his take on the judgment on the Abu Ramadan matter. Many of those who are sending in messages are congratulating him and are suggesting that he may have been the one who curtailed what was expected to be a boisterous or fierce debate in this place.
Yeah, he did well. But from the premise, it meant that the foundations of the charge had been established, that it ought not to have happened. All the facts bordered on allegations and needed to be taken through the mail before they can be confirmed as established. That's where I also disagree with Kweku. A lot of the facts were yet to be established. When you meet persons today and then they are quarreling, you have to ask of what happened yesterday. The Menshia North issue is a matter that I was involved in. I argued a case in the Supreme Court, and so that's where, to me, based on the judgment of the court, says that Ibrahim Felix, you are no longer a constituency secretary. That was the foundation. But I believe that it didn't need to go beyond that in treating our own party people as if they are persona non grata. Yeah. So that aside, I think that looking at the charge that was preferred against Wontumi, they should have handled it differently. as a simple assault issue. And therefore, if you look at Section 73, apart from making a distinction between an assault or misdemeanor and then a felony, that's why I disagree with Samson on aggravated misdemeanor. The law talks about felonies. Yeah. Insofar as the charge didn't amount to a felony.
Okay, sorry, I'm trying to open the law.
Yeah. And, so the reconciliation was automatically acceptable.
Let me read it. It says, any court with criminal jurisdiction may promote reconciliation, encourage and facilitate a settlement in an amicable manner of any offense not amounting to felony, number one, and not aggravated in degree. So it's not just a misdemeanor, a non-aggravated misdemeanor.
You know, I mean, here is the case. As I said, when I started, I said a lot of the facts has not been established. The extent of the alleged beating that was meted out to the two persons have not been proven before you can say that it was aggravated. So we take it that the charge will then influence whether to grant bail or not grant bail.
Okay.
And you look at the ADR Act.
But it doesn't matter that the police have witnessed this, and we are also getting the report from the individual involved, the victim, that he's been terribly dealt with, and he might have to undergo some surgery of some sort.
Well, we'll wait for the facts to
unless we are suggesting he inflicted those things on himself.
No, I mean I'm not fully seized with the extent of any harm that the person suffered, and therefore we'll just go by what we have on record, which is the charge, and therefore reconciliation in this sense is acceptable.
Do you think that the massing up of the guys at the place can be justified on the basis that, oh, this was something that should have been granted bail, but he was not granted bail? It was the reason they got up to they were at the place and insisting that he ought to be granted bail. Can this be justified?
Well, it cannot be, but we have to ask, was it a spontaneous response? Because sometimes when people hear on radio that so and so has been arrested, it has happened a lot in Accra, for example.
They will come in
spontaneously, the members just go there.
Ordinary members of this republic are charged with assault and detained, sometimes even beyond 48 hours.
Yes.
So what's new about it?
No, what we see, because of the political nature and how sensitive these matters are. For me, it's not so much about them. After all, it's a public place, but it's the conduct of those people over there.
It's a political nature. Must a crime have political color?
That is what I'm going into it. That's why I'm saying that such crimes must not be colored with such political colors and things like that. But I'm saying that it is the manner in which they conduct themselves. The sort of things some of them were saying, then could themselves amount to the commission of a crime.
There were actually former members of parliament who were on radio inviting the members to come to the place.
Yes, and when they went there, the sort of things they were even saying to the hearing of the police, and serious allegations against even the executive sometimes. That is what worries me. But the mere spontaneous massing of these people there to show solidarity, I don't think that per se amounts to a wrongdoing or commission of an offense. As compared to what they said there, and also in a way sometimes even obstructing the course of justice.
It had the potential to degenerate.
Yes, and the police and the soldiers had to be armed at that place. That is what worries me. And it has happened.
Should the party at the national level intervened and call those guys to order, and the lack of that, does it say anything about the party itself?
Well, I would say it should say a lot about maybe leadership and the way they reacted. It was also born out of a perceived strong hand exclusive of the party itself, like a strong hand somewhere else who had instructed the police to deal with this particular person.
So don't provide a strong hand with ammunition.
So that is where the point is. But if they had seen it as a mere assault or allegation of assault, which is a criminal offense per se, their approach would have been different. Oftentimes, we just blame others but ourselves. And allege that, oh, if this has happened, then we put what has happened aside and blame others. That is where the problem comes from. And so I think that we should just allow the law to work. Then also, this is a matter where, in view of the person involved, not because he's more important than anyone, but well known, it's a matter that the police could have granted him at least self-recognizance.
I hear you. I hear you.
Self-recognizance.
That's a valid point.
And when that had been done, all these
reactions
which cannot be justified in a way, may have been abated.
It's a valid point.
Were they entitled to think that if they granted him bail, he will interfere with the evidence, or he would go and even commit the offense any further, which is the basis to refuse bail?
Well, it's a possible proposition that one may make, or even including he putting himself in harm's way, because the other persons may also have supporters. And if indeed he caused or committed the offense of assault. But I ask a question, these persons, were they also passive receivers of these blows, alleged blows, or assault?
They were quarreling.
Or they were quarreling. Because I can't imagine that the man would just be standing there and just receiving blows, as the other gentleman, the secretary also especially narrated. So that is why, but I think now they are not concerned.
Could it also not be the case that since the police were aware that they intended to be speedy with prosecution, and so they arrested him in the afternoon or in the morning, and they intended to take him to court the next day, not decided to grant bail should not be a big issue?
Well, I like I've said, in practice, these things happen. We almost always decry the delay of the police in granting bail to persons in such matters. But in this particular case, I like to proceed on the basis of the fact that this thing ought not to have happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the subsequent pronouncements of leadership of the party points conclusively to the fact that there has been a failure of leadership. Even after the incident, some renowned and important members of the party have made statements that are quite disappointing. And so it gives legitimacy and promotes the culture of impunity, even within the party.
Does that massing up suggest, a sign of what potentially could happen during the elections or after, and should the security take a cue and to prepare for eventualities like this? Because anything could have happened.
Yeah, massing up have been, sometimes very encouraging. That's part of our political culture. So that is why when we're talking about this things, we must try to move people, to show leadership and move people away from that culture and practice.
Right. The facts, the brief facts, I'm not holding brief for the police aside, but just to try and deal with a scenario that my brother raised. Apparently, the regional chairman, questioned the presence of those two, the complainants, at the place. They are no basis for being there.
Yes, and Doc tells the reason he did that.
Yes, not just that, but the point that apparently there's a certain party decision that you guys don't get involved and so.
Right.
So he questioned it, and they argued back. So there was a misunderstanding in terms of verbal. Then somebody decided to cure the mischief by going physical.
It's a friendly touch.
He decided to cure the mischief by going physical. And that's where the problem is. I agree with my brother that the police could have exercised better discretion, granted him bail quickly, and then avoid a crowd there. But it's no excuse for the mob.
Of course, it's
presence.
not just
So it means that it feeds into the understanding or the agreement that the police must handle assault cases evenly.
Sure. Why not?
Evenly.
Okay. Now, if we can briefly, I want to see if I can get 2 minutes each from you before we move on to the final issue. We are unable to bring up Rupa for discussion. We should be able to deal with Bawumia briefly.
It's a timeless matter.
But yes, but there have been claims of registration of minors, busing them to places, and Seydou Nketia suggesting on Joy yesterday that, well, this is not new and that all the parties are guilty of it. In the Tamale, you have an EC official accusing the NDC of registering minors. And as reported by Star News, Ms. Techi said the action by members of the ruling party is distracting affairs at the polling center. Quote, the challenge here is the minors they are registering. It's too bad. They come with a minor to register, and when you try to challenge, they come with a quarrel. And if you don't give the cards to the person, they will beat you up. It's so bad. At the end of the day, people will come and plead that they need the card. So this is coming up. No, it's not where he's supposed to be. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be where is it Alassane Suini is supposed to be contesting, and in fact,
I'm surprised.
Yeah,
that's Tamalino.
And in fact, he Alassane Suini has come to say, according to some reports, that he placed a call to the lady, but didn't threaten her or anything, but had to raise issues which were germane. We have heard Dr. Bawumia go to University of Ghana and other places and complain about what is going on there. You have one single registration center for a place where about 4,000 plus are expected to register, and they are not able to do anything. In 6 hours, we are told only how many people were registered, 12 persons. Kweku, what do you say? What ought to be done?
I can't believe it. These things are recurrent for a long time. Any time we are having limited registration or the expansive one, we have these incidents, you know, either violence, like we just discussed, or bringing in minors, you know, multiple registrations. They're so recurrent. I don't understand it. We're growing. So I don't know why we keep on following this path. To that extent, if there's evidence that something is gone wrong against the electoral laws, I think the appropriate institutions of state, and in this case the law enforcement agencies, must be quick and deal with it. We should be sending people to the courts and prosecuting them to serve as a deterrent to some of these things. Now the issue of where the centers of registration being inadequate, that's mind-boggling. I'm told UCC or so, just one, Legon. It doesn't make sense to me. Clearly, we are going to have an extension.
I'm hearing that University of Kenya UST, they don't have one. They have to go to Ayedwiase to register.
That is something I don't understand.
And this is the time when they are preparing for exams.
Yes, I don't understand. It's mind-boggling. So I can see in my mind's eye an extension of this exercise and providing more centers. That's the way I see it.
What do you see?
But I say Dunketia one. Did you say he said they are all doing it, including him?
He said they are all guilty.
Well, this is an exercise in self-indictment driven by the Kwasiabinti logic. Excuse my language.
Kwasiabinti logic.
Well, you know he will reply you anyway.
No, but it's true. It's an exercise in self-indictment driven by the Kwasiabinti logic. The police must invite him and ask him a few questions. He's the one admitting that they are doing it. If the rest are doing it and they haven't said it, where is the evidence to chase them? He says they are doing it. I don't want to believe he said that.
Well, you know,
I really don't want to
That's how he tries to justify his political equality.
What do you say about is it because people are not being arrested and punished? That's why all of these are going on?
Well, it is. First of all, I think that let's recognize that people are passionate to get involved with the election of their leaders and people who should be responsible for our resources and so on. So that has to be recognized. But I will still put greater part of the blame at the doorstep of the EC. They have the mandate to compile, register. The law doesn't restrict them to compiling the register only at a particular period.
Okay, good point.
We should open up this register, or it should be possible for anyone who has attained the age of 18 and also complies with all the other requirements or meets all the other requirements for registration to walk into any EC office, whether the day after a major election, 1 year after, or immediately before, to register.
The EC seems to say that in its 5-year strategic plan, it will make that operational.
Yes, I think that if that is done, it will go a long way to ensure that most of these problems we are having now will be abated. And that is the reason why. But so the limited registration and even the limitations placed in the way of people itself amounts to effective disenfranchisement.
Okay.
Effectively, they are disenfranchising people who are otherwise qualified. And I think
some of the
that
people at Legon are already suggesting that if they are unable to register at the close of day, they may sue.
and there are some centers that they have even just given them half the period, 5 days, and then they will move it to another place. That area, you have not given them 10 days, the mandatory 10 days that you yourself have stated. It means that you only gave them 5 days instead of the 10. And it is all because we just wait till tensions are high and then we say we are starting the registration. The law makes it clear that you should open, these things should be available throughout. You can even do these things online and then verify throughout the period. But otherwise, I would say that the vigor and then the encouragement that people are showing just to have their name registered must itself be commendable. Otherwise, the EC are rather limiting people's right to register and to vote.
Doc, in Bosomche, for example, the NDC is threatening to withdraw, its agents because they are coming under attack. All of this must not be happening.
Exactly so, and the NPP has also stated same in the Eastern region. So
should we do away with the agents in the first place?
They are hotspots. It will be difficult to do away with them because the judgment of the Supreme Court tells you that your agent is there, and then the elections are stolen. Then you don't blame anyone.
The agents are there because bad faith.
Yes.
We don't approve this with good faith.
elections, we didn't have agents.
Agents there. So now it has become part and parcel of us. How to
but
make
we're saying
good use of
79, we didn't have agents. And
but
we had smooth elections.
we have reached
elsewhere
a stage.
You don't have agents.
Yes.
We have reached
People
a stage.
vote in space.
We have reached a stage whereby if you say that now let's do away with them, no one will trust you. Because, there's so much distrust of the institutions we have. We have very good institutions in Ghana. But the way they are being manned, persons decide to take very predetermined positions and therefore lack credibility completely when they are speaking. So if you decide to act as public officers, today Amiawuni is lying in state, for the single act of standing up against a regional minister, he earned a lot of respect. So if you are in a certain position and you are governed by laws and you are given a lot of powers, just be over and above what is mediocre and act professionally. In that case, we will trust that institution you are manning, and then there will be a lot of credibility for the institution. For the hotspots, I'm hearing of, we are talking of places in parts of Ashanti region, in Eastern region, where students from SHS are going to register and then they are being asked to go back and that kind of thing. As if you know that they are going to vote in a particular way. These are not helpful. We want everyone to be part of the process and not be engaging in these frictions. In the past, people were focused on
the suspicions I've heard being raised by some members of the NPP is that Baumia spent quite a lot of time interacting with some of these students.
so they are
deliberate ploy to get them not to register, so that they will not be able to vote.
It doesn't make sense. Let me just go also to the General Secretary of NDC's comment. I listened to it yesterday, and I was stunned.
But it's not speaking the truth.
You justify for the
NPP.
For the NPP. We don't subscribe to the idea.
Being truthful.
No, we don't subscribe to the idea
He
of
says they are doing
people
it.
to go and register them, even if they are minors or if they are not getting it. That is blatant breach of the laws of the Republic of Ghana that you are admitting. We don't support that. So even if someone is doing it, the person, as soon as it comes out to say that that's what we are doing, we expect the law enforcement agents to act. That is all.
I commend him, strictly speaking.
Well, I don't commend him for an illegality.
No, for being truthful.
And in the case of Tamale North, for Mr. Suhini, anytime a complaint of this nature is put out there by an independent officer of the state, you don't call the person because it tells you that what you are going to discuss with that person will involve subtle threats.
Was in the police vehicle?
Yeah, but how different or how serious or more serious is what Esedun Ketia said compared to what the party people in the Volta region had to say. They were accused of registering foreigners, and they said, we are registering our siblings in Togo, not foreigners.
Well, so it's a consistent pattern from Mr. Akando's side, from parts of the voter region, where people are being bussed. I don't know why.
No, but that's verifiable. If
Yes,
there are
I mean-
Ghanaians who live in Togo,
Yeah,
but who qualify to register.
They can come in,
Yeah.
but is it only at this point that they have to go and be bussed from there for them to come and exercise
Well,
their
interesting.
electoral?
Now, let's hear.
duties and then
Let's
go back?
hear. Let's hear Honorable Yunus Afuseni.
I've been smiling all along.
Up to
Listening to you, I know. I see clearly that
Professor Michael Okwe has also given an interview in which he says that the EC can put together a few drafters, the experts who are Ghanaians, to put together a law within a week, and it will be passed in Parliament. It is important to let criminals realize that there is danger ahead, and those officials will put those who try in jail for 5 years. People will look before they leap. He's seeming to say that we don't have laws about these to punish these registration situations. That's why we have
we have laws.
Maybe they are not very stern. And
I have
Section
had occasion,
28.
I have occasion to talk about this several times. I've contested elections in Ghana since 2006, and I know. I mean, when you talk about MPP, I mean, we are a country, so I mean, it's our own people who do these things. I was attacked and kicked from the back because I went and saw 8, 9-year-olds registering in my constituency. And I thought that was dishonesty. I mean, if at this age, I mean, as responsible persons, we are already showing our children how to cheat. That's what we're doing. We're showing them how to cheat because he's not 18. You say he's 18 and he's registering to vote in an election. And we, the adults, encourage the children to do that. But I was kicked. On another occasion, my windscreen was broken. And so it's so.
I mean, we think the law is deterrent enough, because if you are caught for any of these offences, Regulation 28 is that you can go in for a maximum of 2 years.
What we need to do is to get the Electoral Commission. In the football field, football world, they have that device, that software to determine the ages of persons. We should encourage the Electoral Commission to have that software.
Okay.
And so that when there will be a propensity, people want to take undue advantage of situations and get people onto the register so as to maximize their votes. I mean, the people must know that when you do that, the Electoral Commission will get to know and fish you out and probably punish you for such wrongdoing. And parents will warn their children not to do that. But if we can do it with impunity and get away with it, we'll continuously do it. Again, the Electoral Commission, you say this is a limited registration exercise. and so we are targeting those who have turned 18.
But they said 1.2 possibly.
Possibly.
They said 1.2 million possibly.
Possibly.
That's not a small figure, though.
Yes, 1.2 million possibly. So they have a figure. And so they ought to have put in place institutions and mechanisms to ensure that we get this 1.2 registered. Okay? But to say Legon or Cape Coast or UK and US state students who probably over the years have turned 18. Most of them left secondary school at 17, 18, and probably will now have the opportunity to register. So you should know that such is a large constituency of people who ought to get their names onto the register.
So the EC definitely must extend the process.
What I'm saying is that they ought to have put mechanisms in place to ensure that those people register.
Even the timing, because you see, this is the time that they are in school. At the time of the election,
they will still be in school.
Especially the SSS. A lot of them who are in the final year would have gone to their various areas. They now have to either come back here to vote,
they'll transfer,
or have transfer done.
Yes.
And this could have been done, taking all this into consideration and fixing the period that will not coincide with.
But shouldn't the parties also help by innovating and busing these students to other places?
Yeah.
So they can.
I mean, for a place like University of Ghana, I mean, it's highly, unconscionable that you wait for the first part of your exercise to be completed, only for you to put a machine at Liman side of the university yesterday. I mean, it means that a lot of people who queued in the first week and couldn't take part, and they are still queuing, a lot of them will not be able to come and register. So look at the numbers in areas and then put the facilities there so that everyone can take part, smoothly. Otherwise, you are not helping with the electoral process.
Right. Now, let's